What's up guys, I'm reviewing the Annihilator and seeing if this heavy is still overpowered, or if it's even worth it. Hit points for the Annihilator are pretty good, sitting at 1,575. Armor is mainly on the turret, but the top of the turret is a pretty big weak point. However, the armor does seem to be pretty troll. We'll go over the armor more in Armor Inspector. The view range is on the higher side for a tier 7 heavy at 279.8. You'll be able to spot if needed. Concealment isn't the greatest, but that's to be expected from a heavy. Damage per minute on paper is amazing at 2,653. However, that's if you're able to hit all 3 of your shots. Because the mechanics for this tank is triple shot, all 3 rounds from the magazine will be fired immediately back to back, which can be very powerful considering all shots leave the barrel in a total of 0.66 seconds. But the enemy can be wiggling or constantly moving and you may end up bouncing 1 or 2 of those shots. The magazine reload time is fairly long at 13.58 seconds. Reload time in between shots is very quick at 0.33 seconds. Like I mentioned, you have 1 shot in your magazine, and in that 1 shot you'll fire off 3 immediately back to back. Penetration is alright. Tier 6 you'll do fine against. Tier 7 for the most part you'll be okay. Watch out for the more heavily armored tanks. Tier 8 you'll struggle more against. The AP is at 180, APCR 233, and AG 48. The average damage per shot isn't anything special, but if all 3 connect, you're looking at around 600 damage. The AP is at 210, APCR 180, and AG 250. Shell velocity. I personally didn't have too much of a problem with it, just guys pulling behind cover right when I tried shooting them, or tanks on the move I would have to lead more because of the spacing in between each shot. Aiming time seems okay at 3.6 seconds, and dispersion isn't the greatest at 0.362. Gun elevation and depression are decent, you can work with it, with elevation at 20 and depression at 8 degrees respectively. The speed is alright for a heavy, with the top speed going forward at 35, in reverse 15, and an average speed of 25. Turn rates are pretty good, with the turret at 46.17 and the hull at 37.67 degrees a second. The terrain crossing capacity and engine power look alright. It's pretty much what you would expect from a slightly more mobile heavy tank. I'll flash everything on the screen, you could copy it or use it as an example. That's just how I personally like to use the Annihilator. Collector tanks don't make as many credits as premiums, but it does seem to make an okay amount of credits for you. This is the perspective of another Annihilator. Looking straight on, the upper hull and turret have good armor. Your lower hull and top of the turret can be pinned, and the mid section of the hull can be pretty troll. A simple way of making the top of the turret harder to pin is simply by raising your gun. However, if you raise it all the way, the bottom of the turret can be pinned. In a hull down position using the 8 degrees of gun depression, the top of the turret and cupola can still be pinned. Like I said, just raise the gun to make it harder, but don't overdo it to expose more weak points. In a side scraping position, it can be pretty strong. However, watch out for portions of the upper and front of the hull. They can be pinned along with the turret ring and cheek. Simply rotate your turret as so to make it harder to pin. Just watch out for exposing the front of the hull and cupola. Everyone will pin your sides and rear. How would you play the Annihilator, and what are some tactics you could use to play it effectively? I would go front line, stay mid to close range, do my best to hide the hull, and for the most part, stick with my team to cover me during my long reloads. If you get caught on your own, you can get torn apart fairly quickly. Now, what are some tactics that you could use? Peekaboo is good, especially if you're able to connect all 3 shots. Trading you will have to do as a heavy. Try to make each trade worth it. 1v1s and brawling will happen. Know what tank you're going up against and if you'll be able to take them out. Sniping I don't recommend. You'll be lucky to land all 3 shots. Stay mid to close range to maximize damage. Wiggling. Doesn't matter what tank you're in, it'll help the chances of the enemy missing or bouncing. Hull down is pretty effective. The main thing you'll have to worry about is the top of the turret getting pinned. Side scraping can work, however watch out for tanks with higher pin because they can and will overmatch you. Face hugging wouldn't be my go-to thing to do, but if you need to, you can do it. Make sure you'll be able to take them out. The battle is constantly changing. You may have to adapt and lead a push or flank. Use some common sense and keep your situational awareness. If you think I left anything important out, please leave it in the comments below for others to learn. Now let's get into the replay. For this replay, I feel like it highlights working with the team and target prioritization. We are going to push the C side, and as we're making our way over there, we take a hit from, I believe, around B area, in between A and B, somewhere like that. Good thing it wasn't some high alpha damage gun, or else that would really suck at the start of the game. As we're moving up, I really considered pushing right into C to try to cap it out, but I realized that probably isn't going to be the smartest play. I decided to push over to where our IS-6 is at and see if we could help him get some shots on the enemy heavy tanks. The Annihilator is the main guy I want to focus and get out of the game. The IS gets a shot into him, but he pulls back into cover before I could even do anything. I wait a moment to see if he pulls out of cover, but he does not, so I'm going to go ahead and try to focus this ammo. However, as I try to switch to APCR, I end up fat fingering or misclicking, whatever you guys want to say it, and end up shooting AP and end up bouncing all 3 of my shots. The Annihilator pulls out of cover. I am not fully reloaded, so I switch over to the ammo, but then realize I might have shots on that Annihilator. So I try to hit him, and of course I miss all 3 shots. I am not having a good start to this game. I'm not going to freak out about those 2 volleys that I ended up missing. There's nothing I could do about it now. The only thing I could do is keep trying to make the best plays I can, so we could start doing something effective for this team. We lower the ammo down to a definite 1 shot, and our witch ends up taking him out. The IS-2 is moving up on our rammer, so I decide I'm going to move in and help him out. However, I am at a huge risk of taking a hit from the side and the rear. We are going to take that trade though, to reposition and get shots in on the IS-2. I quickly check my surroundings and the witch is pushing up into a 2v1 situation, and our team lowers this IS-2 down to a definite 1 shot. Once we're reloaded, we are going to take out the IS-2 and then immediately try to make our way over to the witch in an attempt to help him out. By the looks of it, we are not going to make it there in time. I check the left side real quick to make sure we don't get shot, but as we round the corner, our witch gets taken out. But we take out that enemy Annihilator in return. Usually I'm all for taking out low hit point tanks, but in this one, I really just don't want to waste the volley on a 1 or 2 shot tank because of the potential to do 600 damage with all 3 of your shots connecting. That's just my mentality when I'm playing the Annihilator. Let me know if you guys think the same way. Our T-49 and IS-6 are moving in on that SMV. I'm going to push up and see if I could get shots into him, but unfortunately he is taken out before we could get there. I'm going to push over to base B and cap it out because if you look at the points, the enemy is quite a bit in the lead and they could win off that. The Lorraine is over on our left side and the SDP is on the hill above us. He decides he's going to push out, sit out in the open long enough for us to get our full volley into him, and then decide to ram us and not do that much damage, and her teammate ends up taking him out. I don't know what his thought process was, but I was fully expecting him to at least get a shot into me before he rammed me. We take a hit from that Lorraine, but we are going to stay inside base B until we capture it and deny the enemy from getting any more points. As we are capping out B, the enemy is capping out C, so I know where their light tank is at. We end up capping base B and get 2 out of our 3 shots into that Lorraine. Our teammates should hopefully be able to take him out. I'm going to ignore them for now, activate adrenaline, and try to rush to the position where I think the enemy light tank is going to try and escape from. If we aren't able to stop the light tank right here and now, we will lose this game. He is spotted and we are going to lead our shot to get all 3 of our rounds into that light tank and send him back to the garage. We got 3,503 damage, the first class, a not too bad amount of credits for a collector tank, and top of the leaderboard for this battle. For this battle, it doesn't really feel like we did too much, but that seems to be a trend with the Annihilator, because before you know it, you've racked up probably 3.5k damage, and like I just said, it doesn't feel like you really did anything. As you will see based off the damage numbers and block damage, that's not the case. I push right into C and I'm going to hold an angle in case one of the enemy heavies decides to push up. I quickly realize I'm just sitting on the open and could easily get shot. So while I'm holding this angle, I'm going to back up into a side scraping position until I cap out base C. If the enemy were going to rush this base, they most likely would have pushed in by now. I do not have a lot of information on where the enemy team's at other than the heavy tank on the right side of C. So I'm going to take a risk and push out and get shots on that IS. Sometimes taking a risk is worth it. Like in this case, I could have easily gotten lit up by the rest of the enemy team that was unspotted, but this risk ended up working out. We dump all 3 rounds into that IS and lower him down to a possible 1 shot for our team. I check the left because there's most likely TDs up at that railhead, so I place a building in between me and those train tracks. The IS is taken out, so we're gonna start pushing up, and of course we take a hit from the train tracks. What did I tell you? And we bounce off our tracks. The elephant is right there, so I'm gonna unload my magazine into him, helping out our team, and quickly put this building in between me and the train tracks again. I'm keeping an eye on the elephant to see if I can get shots on him, while at the same time checking to make sure the ISU and the SU do not push me. They're distracted by one of the TDs behind us, so I'm going to pull out and take out the ISU. I check on the elephant and the SMV ends up taking him out. I notice that the Progetto is moving to help out the SU-152. The Tiger 1 is towards the middle of the map and the other medium is spotted right next to him. I'm trying to see if I could get some shots on the SU since he seems more focused on the tank destroyer behind us. I see my opportunity, I pull out, I wait a second for him to really expose himself, and then I take out over half of his hit points. I check behind us to see how everything's going. The Tiger 1 is not spotted right now, but the sphere is still over there. The SMV pulls up, he takes a nasty hit, but that's the opportunity that we need to pull out and take out the SU. And the Tiger is spotted rushing in at full hit points. I fully expected him to rush our SMV, take him out since I'm on a full reload. I try to see if I could get shots on the Progetto since he's sitting on the open. He backs up into cover, but the Tiger pushes up and ends up bouncing us. I was debating if I should track him in place, but I did not want to risk bouncing any of my shots. So instead I just shoot him into the lower plate and get all 3 of our shots into him. We ended up taking a hit from that Tiger and we end up taking another one. However, we are going to finish our reload and assist our team in taking them out. Just look at that bottom left hand corner. We did 3,458 damage, 1,112 damage assisted, and so far 1,080 damage blocked, which that will increase to I think 1.4, 1.5k damage blocked. But I wanted to point that out because it's only been like, what, 3 minutes into the battle and we've already done all that. And it didn't really seem like that much, at least to me. We were too slow to shoot on the sphere, but I decided to start pushing into base B when we get 2 bounces from that Progetto. I end up capping B and I planned on pushing up and cutting off the Progetto. However, our Comet beats us over to him and ends up taking him out. Is the Annihilator overpowered or even worth getting? I mean, yeah, it's kinda overpowered. The reason I say that is because you could be a below average player and still carry a team with it. However, if you play it like a complete noob, don't use any tactics at all, it can easily get taken out. So that's the only reason I kinda hesitated in my answer. It's definitely worth getting, especially if you're able to get it through an event for free, which the Annihilator and Smasher usually come out for events for that opportunity, like the current one going on at the time of making this video. However, if I'm not mistaken, Wargaming has tried selling this tank through containers before, and if that's the case, do not go for it. If it's anything container related, do not even attempt spending any money or gold on that. It's a waste of time and you're not guaranteed the Annihilator at all. If it comes out for the store, which I'm not sure if that will even happen, depending on the price, it might be. Basically, if the price is something crazy, do not attempt it, but if it's something reasonable, maybe. But what do you think? Is the Annihilator overpowered, and is it even worth getting? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, check this one out. I think you'll like it too.